Welcome to Real Vision and the Defiant's weekly bipartisan bilateral podshogram cast, where this week, for the privilege of you lending us your time, we have over-collateralized our position with the return of the People's Princess of Payment Protocols, the never knowingly centralized Camila Russo. And joining us once again is Real Vision's Pied Piper of Price Fluctuations, Elaine Lee. I'm still Robin Schmidt, and I make videos in it. Well, as you might notice, things have changed a bit here at Defiant Manners. Camilla, how are you? Elaine, how are you? You've actually kind of matched the backgrounds weirdly, both of you. Brick, loft. What's going on?
Industrial chic is the name of the style.
Yeah, she yinked my yang, baby. Hello, everyone. It's nice to see you guys again.
So I guess it probably should give some context to this. We are going to be discussing a lot of metaverse and NFT concepts in this episode, particularly when it comes to little pods of space that companies are using as their offices in the metaverse. But we at the Defiant are kind of trying to push ourselves into a new era of production. And the way we're doing that is through virtual production. So I'm currently sitting in a green screen studio, which you can't see at the moment, but it looks like I'm in this kind of weird abandoned building somewhere that's been overgrown by leaves. This is not a static background. This is in fact a live background that's coming out of Unreal Engine. And so we decided this, towards the end of last year, that we were going to kind of switch things up and start producing stuff using the best kind of new weird game engine virtual production technology around. So I have a technician over there who's going to give you a little taste of what's actually going on here. So he's moving the camera around in real time. So these are scenes which have been photo scanned, like 3D photo scanned. And so they're completely photorealistic, but they're also, this is all real time. This is just coming straight out of the game engine. And he's moving around there. You can see all the texture of the concrete. It says, I'm a panda there. You know, this could be an NFT bolt hole. But the reason we're doing this is because metaverses and making content in the metaverse is very problematic at the moment, because the tools are designed for the lowest common denominators. They're designed to make it easy for people to come in and just play the game on the lowest spec system possible. And for us, that's like, yeah, but we want to tell richer stories and we want to take advantage of all the tools that are available to us. So if I ask Alp now just to change what time of day it is, he will be able to go into Unreal Engine and change where the sun is just on the fly. So hopefully he's going to be able to do that right now. You saw him moving the camera around, but this is all happening in real time. Like I can just say, do this, do that. We can also use MIDI controllers so that I can have a little camera system here.
Can you like drop something on your head, Robin? Al, can you just like find like some rock or something? Can you put it on top of Robin's head? Is this how it works?
He can't hear you, thank God.
Oh.
so the issue is that I'm currently on a green screen. So Alp, if you can show camera 2, you can give people a kind of glimpse of the setup here. So this is where I am at the moment. So I'm in a studio with a green screen behind me, and an Unreal Engine is being projected onto that green screen. So wherever's green is Unreal Engine. So that's camera 2. That gives you sort of an idea of the setup that we have. And then if we go back to camera 1, so janky the setup at the moment, you'll be able to see me in the environment, and it still looks a bit fake. Where we're moving to is that I want to go full virtual. So I'll be a virtual character puppeting a virtual version of myself in real time using something like this. And this is a motion capture rig that you attach your phone onto. And then, as you said, I would be able to have a rock drop on my head and it would actually interact with me in real time. We could set up collision, and we could also do it so that, you know, if somebody said something provocative, I would be able to make my hair stand up just by triggering something on a device, a MIDI keyboard. So this is basically the opportunity in front of us is to tell really dynamic, rich stories that really express the best of like what full freedom in a metaverse can look like and where it can go. And the thing is, like, there's no reason to do this, but we are explorer creatures, and we feel like if we really want to be a news organization that tells the story, and we were talking about this last night, Camilla, we need to be telling it from the inside out. And that was such a big theme of, I think, what drove our success last year is we are embedded, we are legitimately inside this space, and we are able to tell that story from the inside out. Camilla, yeah, I know you had lots to say on that in terms of just not being Bloomberg and not being that same idiom.
Yeah. Well, I mean, super excited to see the virtual studio coming along and to, bring our Real Vision friends into this new kind of phase of storytelling. It's super exciting. And yeah, like what we were talking about yesterday is that, you know, it's the perspective of where the Defiant is telling the story of the metaverse is from the inside, and so like the way that we are representing it with videos is like literally from a virtual world, like inside a virtual world. So yeah, that's our goal is to you know tell the story of DeFi and Web3 objectively and professionally, but as insiders. We're not kind of stepping back from a distance and looking down on this kind of new innovation. We are in it, and hopefully that can bring a closer and deeper perspective on what's going on. So yeah, with that, like we can get into our perspective on the past week's stories, right?
Well, yeah. So one of those stories was the news that FTX, Binance, they were building offices not in an Ethereum metaverse, but in a Solana one called Portals. Elaine, did you pick up that story? Does this kind of resonate with you
Yeah,
at all?
I mean, that's correct. I mean, looking at that sort of setup, I'm loving this because, I'm a gamer and it's pretty much like Call of Duty, but like actually using it for everyday life now. And we need to get, involved. And most importantly, this is the sort of, virtual sort of space that we're providing for the mass, right? But on the blockchain. So it's truly a sort of incredible sort of momentum that we're seeing right now as a new way to tell stories. But what's really cool about putting offices in the metaverse is that you can skip travel time, right? And then you can go to these places. And yet, like you said, Binance is built on Solana, but then South Korea, I think, is making moves into the metaverse as well with their embassy. And I know that government officials are actually talking to builders in the metaverse space at the moment. So, there's no exception to see crypto giants like Binance to only follow suit. And what's mind blowing is that digital real estate, it is here to stay. Yesterday I was producing a shoot, and I was talking to Harish Lotlika, who is the CEO to Superworld, and he was just telling me about what Superworld was, and you can buy like real estate digital world now. So I was clicking on parts of the Golden Gate Bridge where you can get parts of the Golden Gate Bridge for 0.1 ETH. So is that something I'm gonna go as my patch of the world that belongs to me in the metaverse? It's so exciting. And then I sort of moved on to the conversation where I'm like, but what about space in the metaverse? And then before he started talking, he was just sort of like, Elaine, we need vodka for this. And I was like, all right, fair enough.
Well, it's funny because about just over a year ago, we looked into Somnium Space, which is probably one of the most visually exciting metaverse worlds that are currently out there. And it's very much VR first. We built a headquarters in there and we don't use it. And it's because the tools just aren't quite there yet to do it the way we want to do it and to feel comfortable doing things there. And we could use it as a virtual meeting space. But every time we've tried to jump in and use these things, they just feel like they're not quite ready for the extreme pace of things that we need to do the work that we want to do. The reason we've landed on Unreal Engine for production is that Unreal Engine just has incredible support all around the world. People are building plugins, they're building assets for it, and it's a very well tutorialized ecosystem where if you have a question, you can go find it. With Somnium Space, the building tools are a little bit primitive, and it just felt like you just can't quite get to where we want to be. I feel the same way about Portals, which was this Solana thing. I went and played around with the demo, and I went and played around with everything. It just feels very, very crude. That's not to say that it won't mature and become something where you go, okay, well, this is really, really cool. But I think one of the great promises of the metaverse is that it's the casual encounter. You will drop in there and you'll just stumble across something and it'll be amazing, like browsing Netflix or YouTube. And my experience of all metaverses so far is they're just not there yet. But that is because we're so early. So for us, it was more, well, if we want to create a metaverse-like experience, then we're going to use Unreal Engine and we're going to do it in a way that we can control and we can keep that excitement and quality up. And what's interesting about building things in Unreal is that you start to think about things in a very, very different way. We can create an environment that you could then play as a game because they're the same engine, they're the same tools. So you could release it on Steam and say, okay, so this month we talked about, for instance, lending protocols. You could build an entire level where people would go and explore lending protocols, but play it as a game. And maybe there's like NFTs that they could pick up as well. So we're talking to a company about how we would integrate NFTs and use them as your avatars directly within an Unreal environment. That's exciting for me. That for me feels much more like the metaverse than some of the experiences I've had on these Ethereum-based or blockchain-based platforms. And of course, it's just early days, but it's like, it all feels like a little bit like, yeah, digital land, woo! And then it's like crickets for 5 years. So yeah, I'm a little bit skeptical about all of that stuff, but also excited as you are to build and express ourselves in this digital world. But for me, it's going to be this and not portals. Cami, any thoughts?
Yeah, I think, there needs to be kind of a coincidence of things happening for this to really take off. Like, one is just an improvement of like the UX, like you mentioned, like it's very clunky still. And the other one is just you need more like just like mass adoption of it to actually make sense. Because if you're going to be dropping into these virtual spaces, hoping to meet people there, but there's nobody there and nobody's using it, it like the whole thing kind of will be a bit pointless. So it's like you need both things to work, and right now neither are. So it's still kind of early days, but it takes just like getting companies like Binance and like ourselves, and just like exploring this and being early and using it and just pushing things forward for the space to develop, which I think it will.
Well, that's an adoption question. And Elaine, you were telling me before the stream started that you kind of reawakened your NFT brain and that you'd suddenly kind of come back and taken a look at it. And I think there's a lot of that with people. They get excited and then they drop off, and they're excited and then drop off.
So I see this sort of stuff happening, and I know like people are sort of like creating their comfort space for, which is basically hitting the topic of play to earn, which is really important. It's creating your environment. And we was talking on Real Vision this week. Well, one of the interviewers, he's actually the lead of operations at MetaMask, and I was like, so why are you so committed into making the new Web3, the new metaverse space back for the people who wants to go into this space? And he was like, look, gaming is addictive, but the thing is the time and effort that you put into your stream where you're meeting to your friends, and when you put your time and your energy addicted to a screen, at least it's the rewards, the incentiveness is coming back to you as the streamer, as the content provider. So that for me is just something that is really worth spending a little bit of time, like you do in an hour at the Defiant, just really learning of what this new space is. So I think that's really important. That stuff is coming back to the people and how they use the internet.
Well, there's definitely an adoption thing here. And I seem to remember that one of the accusations that was always leveled at these layer one super chains is that there was all this bandwidth and nothing was happening on them. It's taken a while, but you're starting to see the likes of Avalanche and Near, Polkadot, of course, really start to, gain interest and traction because Ethereum is just so expensive and so crazy. And we were just talking about it here. Our focus, we feel more and more, should be to where we can help the most people, and the most people kind of want to be active in DeFi, but is heavily put off by just how expensive Ethereum is. So we're just exploring more and more different layer 2s, different layer 1s, seeing what's being built there. And what you discover is that it's a smaller community, but it's also a really lively one. And because they're in this position where they're challenging, they're working seemingly twice as hard to be relevant and to be interesting and to justify their position in the world. And that's really exciting. So I'm very keen to keep doing that job and just going and exploring what's being built elsewhere, because I feel that there's some amazing stuff out there that probably doesn't get enough light shined on it. It's in a very niche way, and I think that's one of the things that we've been good at with the Defiant, is keeping an open mind, saying it doesn't matter where you are, if the innovation is good, we'll take a look at it, and we should definitely do more of that. And I think one of the interesting things is OpenSea has been this kind of Binance-like monopolizing force in the NFT market, but starting to be challenged. And I wonder if, Camila, you've seen anything that's popped up that's looked like it's, going to mount a significant challenge to OpenSea's hegemony in the market?
We've seen a bunch of OpenSea challengers pop up in the past couple of months. The latest one just had an airdrop. I think it was this week. Looks Rare is this like OpenSea challenger, which airdropped the Looks token to potential users. So to get this, they had an interesting way of distributing their token. You had to have, I think, 3 ETH of transaction volume on OpenSea, and list an NFT on the Looks Rare platform to get an airdrop. And I think where kind of all these OpenSea challengers are coming from is this idea that OpenSea is just like this market behemoth that is just has grown so big. Like it's the largest consumer of gas on the Ethereum network, like even more than Uniswap, like even more than any DeFi protocol. Like OpenSea is responsible for I don't know if most of activity on Ethereum, but it's definitely the most active project on causing transactions on Ethereum. So that just tells you, how big it's gotten. And the problem that some people are seeing is that it's still a centralized platform. Like it's a centralized platform that is enabling the transfer and transactions of decentralized tokens like NFTs, but it's still centralized, and it's had issues before, like with that former employee who was front running users of OpenSea and buying up very attractive tokens before they were listed.
The head of product, and he's actually been replaced with the latest round of funding. I think in the same press release, they actually mentioned that the head of product was replaced by someone from Meta. So, the flow of talent engineers who are probably building these things for the very first time, you can just see where the momentum is going when they're just taking big tech giants over to help build and continue to grow on OpenSea.
Yeah, totally. But the idea is that, I mean, the point is that this happened because it is like an opaque, centralized, closed source product. It is a centralized marketplace. So that's where all these challengers are coming from. Like they want to build a more open source, decentralized, more transparent version of OpenSea. So we'll see whether they can start chipping at OpenSea's lead. So far, OpenSea has just grown and grown larger and larger, and nothing has been able to really challenge it.
Well, I think the interesting thing with OpenSea is that for the longest time, it was the place. And it certainly enabled a lot of people to become quite wealthy. They take 2.5% on every trade that happens. So they're just printing money, let's be honest. And they're also raising money. So a ton of money's been raised by OpenSea in successive rounds throughout last year, and it's a lot, like the mind-blowing a lot of money. I think the problem is that what the end user is seeing out of that is outages. The site goes down the whole time. The functionality, the speed with which you can see that what your collection is looking at, the speed with which metadata is refreshed. There's just a bunch of things which are like, surely it can be done better than this. And then there's other things where wash trading happens and they don't flag it, and scams happen and they're kind of slow to react on it. There's just a bunch of stuff where people going, yeah, you know what, you're making so much money, do a better job. LooksRare is interesting because, as you rightly said, there's been Rarible, there's been other platforms like Maker's Place and specific platforms where they felt like they could mount a challenge, and Rarible definitely did. But LooksRare has this kind of vibe that it's more of a community thing. They did a vampire attack where they persuaded people who traded on OpenSea to come over because of the airdrop, but they just made sure you listed something. And the problem on any platform is, like, it's very easy to find sellers, but very difficult to find buyers. But what they did was they created a marketplace that was rich in items for sale. The other thing that's very interesting about NFTs is that you can take them wherever you want. The platform does not own them. You don't send them to the platform and then sell them there. So if people want to sell elsewhere, they can. They can also still have an item for sale on OpenSea, but they simultaneously can have an item for sale on LooksRare. The two are not mutually exclusive. So there's a kind of why not element to this, which is like, why not give this a go? And LooksRare, it might be a success, it might not, but they're in a position to say, here are the things that don't work about OpenSea, and we're small enough and agile enough that we can actually try and make this happen. But it's about time. Honestly, it really is. Because OpenSea it's just like there's so much they could do. And then there was all this kind of chat that they were going to drop a token, because if OpenSea did a token, then a lot of people would be like, wow, we get a lot of money out of this. It's like when MetaMask token, when OpenSea token. There won't be an OpenSea token. Just putting that
I think they said there definitely won't be a token.
They did. Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
MetaMask might do, but OpenSea there definitely won't be.
Yeah. So they broke everyone's heart, and maybe that's what kind of like pushed new life into these competitors.
Well, there've been so many airdrops. So there've been gas airdrops, and there's another one coming out, WTF.fees, fees.wtf. And this is basically, if you've been a degenerate, you get rewarded for it. So the more you've traded, the more you've spent money on worthless JPEGs, the more money you get back. It's like, you can't make it up.
I saw that was a nice little treat for people around Christmas time. Like, if you spend so much amount of that website that you mentioned, Robin, what is it? It's
fees.wtf. It's just like, it's the ultimate Ethereum masochism. Just, punish yourself with how much you've spent.
People actually got tokens, the SOS tokens dropped from it, because depending on how much gas you spend on Ethereum, you got actually, a bit of money back from it, which I thought was quite a nice little Christmas treat for people. But yeah, like you said,
let's be clear. It's not money back. You just get airdropped a token, and it just so happens that people believe that airdrops will pump at some point. So you could turn it into money, but you're not getting money back. It's not like a cashback system on a credit card.
Money, very good. Yeah. So LooksRare, they were gunning for OpenSea. From what I can see. So it'd be interesting to see their trading volume, next week, because I think Rarible did the same, but they just tanked in a lot of volumes. But just worth mentioning, some of the upcoming marketplaces that I've been looking at is Coinbase NFT is coming up. FTX have their own NFT marketplace. Magic Eden was one that I saw coming up as well. But I think the most important thing is, wherever you shop these kind of things, like I've been on my massive shopping spree throughout Christmas, it all goes into your wallet in MetaMask, which is the beauty for me. And I feel safe, trying out all these different marketplaces when OpenSea is trending on Twitter as Broken Sea. So that kind of
if you're a Magic Eden it won't go into your MetaMask because Magic Eden is on Solana, and so you will need the Phantom wallet for that. Solana is in its own weird place out there, but there's bridges, you know.
Yeah, is that the one with the little ghost that is the logo?
Yes, Phantom is a fantastic wallet. I'm actually going to do a whole bunch of tests on wallets because there's an open source wallet because now people are slightly suspicious of MetaMask. And so, you know, our beloved Fox might be not quite the thing that we think it is, and we're looking at alternatives. So there's definitely some interesting wallets like Fortmatic and Portis as well that are definitely, and I know a lot of people use Coinbase wallet, but that Coinbase NFT marketplace, I mean, I don't even know what to think about that one anymore.
I mean, the point, I think at the moment is like what's exciting for these NFT marketplaces is that, you know, there's so much parabolic growth in them. They are desperately looking for artists and desperately looking for new buyers. So I think, you know, it goes back to the word that I mentioned earlier, which I'm loving this word, is incentiveness. Is I think all these companies that are popping up left, right, and center need to sort of ask themselves from the get-go, what is the incentives for our users? That's going to pull me back.
You said companies, but they're not companies.
What would you call them?
They're just projects. Yeah, they're just projects.
Well, Coinbase is a company, and I think, you know, it'll be interesting to see what their marketplace does. Like they obviously have such a huge pull on like just like crypto trading and like I don't know how, like what was the latest number of customers they have, but they have like millions of people there already. So maybe they are kind of the OpenSea competitor, even if it doesn't come from just like this like community open source decentralized side of things, and it just comes from CeFi. Maybe that's kind of what really kind of can challenge OpenSea. I'm wondering if the next evolution though will be from these markets becoming more specialized, because right now OpenSea just like has every NFT in the market traded there. Coinbase will do the same. Rarible, like all of these, they just like offer everything. So I wonder if the next phase will be just like specialization. So maybe there will be just like a music NFT marketplace. There can be others that are just focusing on avatars. Maybe there's a marketplace that is just for like physically backed NFTs and so on, for like apparel and clothing. Like Meta Factory is kind of that, but it feels like a generalist marketplace. I don't know if that's going to be the most useful thing going forward, because in the end, like you have just like very specific use cases, and you'd want to visualize these different NFTs in different ways. So maybe something that just like generalizes the view isn't the most helpful thing for buying and selling these tokens.
Well, it's an interesting point because you'd think that it would work that way. I suspect what it's going to be is you want it to be much more like a mall. So OpenSea, for instance, would be the mall, but within OpenSea, you'd have different storefronts, and there, you know, you'd still get the footfall through that particular platform, but then you could be directed to a place where you felt, you know, in a sense, it's more like eBay or Amazon. You know, you have Amazon resellers and stuff, and affiliate programs and all these kind of things. I suspect a scaled up version of that looks like that. And with reputation at stake as well, that could make things very, very interesting. And then if you could, you know, give store holders the ability to launch their own reward program or a token or whatever it might be, then, you know, the more you shop with them, the more rewards you get. That would work, but you need to have an umbrella or a mall kind of concept around that. Weirdly enough, that brings us right back to the metaverse, where you could visualize that and make it an interactive thing where you could actually go and do that for real. You know, all of these things are possible, and somebody's probably building it right now. Definitely interesting. So the final story we wanted to look at was to do with just the amount of money that went through rug pullers and black hats in DeFi in 2021. So there's a report on the Defiant, $2.2 billion. Camille Russo. It's a lot of money.
It is. Yeah, I think it was a record for money lost in like crypto scams and rug pulls and just like hacks. So that's unfortunate. I think it comes with just there's more money flowing in crypto, more volume, more projects. So obviously like the level and the amount of like money that's being hacked will grow together with the space. So I mean that's kind of like a caveat to look at. Um, but I think this is definitely something that crypto and DeFi needs to work on. Just like make the space safer for users. A lot of this is just like simply education. A lot of these hacks happen by people like just giving away their seed phrase, and we see it all the time. Like that's the most common scam. People pretend to be MetaMask support on Twitter. They get on a call with people, or like send them a link that prompts them to put on in their seed phrase. And newcomers in this space don't realize that they should never give away their seed phrase, and they do, and then hackers just have free access to the victims' wallets. So it's a lot about education. I think there needs to be insurance, decentralized insurance being developed to, if not prevent these hacks, at least kind of compensate victims for when they are hacked. So it just points to there's a lot of work that still needs to be done on making the space safer for sure.
And I'm just going to plug a video that we made about being safer and smarter on MetaVerse. You can check it out on our channel. But it's a good one because there's a lot of tips and things that you can do to just be a little bit more circumspect about how you use it. One of the big hacks from last year was Poly Network, and it was $600 million that was taken. The hacker actually gave it all back. But what was interesting about that is I made a prediction at the end of 2020 that we would see $1 billion hack in DeFi in 2021, which didn't actually happen. But when I went back and looked at that hack, the hacker was actually bragging about how he could have taken $1 billion and blown the world up, and then it didn't actually happen. But I was kind of like hoping that he would, so I could be right, which would have been something. But I definitely think that we'll probably see one this year. Elaine, have you been keeping safe on? No, I can see by your face that you're pulling a face. It's hard, right?
No, the best I can. Like you said, it's all down to, honestly, education is at the forefront of everything as well, going forward for 2022 for me. I mean, it all goes back down to the 101, the do your own research sort of sentiment. And like you said in a previous video that we did, Robin, like, don't get lazy at learning if it all goes a little bit wrong sometimes. But, for me, it's definitely the importance of keeping safe, which is looking out for the verified projects. I tend to only mess with stuff when I can see the blue tick for me. And I even found a cheeky little project that basically had their own photo on OpenSea, but they made the blue tick themselves, which was mortifying. Yeah, scary. But you have to train your eye to see this sort of stuff, and people dropping new projects left, right, and center on Discord. But even I've seen like people just post a link into the Discord channel that the new really hot project that people want to get involved with. But from what I see, I'm telling you, all this stuff is so new and frightening and coming to us so quickly. Even the best in the system, like a former Twitch CEO, Justin Can, launched a new project, and even their team had a little scammy link in them, and where he sends a video after, and he's like, "Congratulations, you got the airdrop, you survived the scams." But I think the point I'm trying to make is even the best in the business have to deal with this on a daily basis. So, there was a great article that said the headline was, we all need to stop only seeing the dark side of crypto, which is hard when you hear stories like this. But I think, you got to ask yourself, how has sort of crypto changed your life over the past year, financially and mentally? And this digital asset space is moving so quick. So, but such as life. So for me, do things at your own pace, learn at your own pace.
the importance of looking at projects that like have the track record, because some of it is education, but some of it is, you know, hackers just finding a bug in the smart contract and exploit, or a vulnerability, and exploiting that vulnerability to manipulate the like whatever DeFi protocol to give them tokens at a cheap price, or just like a series of like financial, like very sophisticated manipulations that's not as straightforward as just like, oh, I'm gonna take your fund from your wallet. It's more about like financial manipulation and exploiting vulnerabilities in these DeFi protocols. So sometimes, you know, you can do everything right and still lose money in these protocols, because like the developers in the projects like just didn't write the smart contract in the safest way. So the best way, and I think the only way to prevent losses from that is just like looking at and using products with a track record that have been working for a long time without hacks, that have had, you know, lots of money transacted and haven't been hacked. So I think that's kind of another precaution that users like should take.
So Elaine, you were talking about how people look at crypto as the dark side, and Cointelegraph decided that they would post a story about how CZ is now the richest man in crypto, but he's now ranked a number 11 on the list of the world's richest people, just behind Larry Ellison, Steve Ballmer, Warren Buffett, Sergey Brin, Larry Page. Now these are big names, established names from the world of technology, and if you see CZ pop up on there, then it's like, okay. I mean, $96 billion. I'm not sure what I would do with that, but it makes that 600 million that was taken from Poly Network seem ridiculous. But it does just go to show that, you know, we're getting on the radar in weird and wonderful ways. And those who are skeptical of the space, I think there's an equal number of people who are bullish on the space. And I guess we just have to keep figuring it out. There's not much more to say than that, really. It's going to be a struggle, and somehow we'll get through all of this intact and hopefully still holding all our NFTs in our hardware wallet. Yes.
Sure.
Cami, one last update from you. How is the film going? How did the NFT sale go? Because I don't think we've heard from you since you actually launched the movie.
Well, the movie itself hasn't launched yet. I think there's a couple of years in development for that. We are working behind the scenes to have hopefully a very nice announcement on like the movie production itself. But the first installment of the Infinite Machine NFT collection was sold in December. And that did really well. We sold the first 2,100 tokens of the 10,499 collection, and it sold out in a day, and we raised the first around $700,000 dollars from that. Artists in this project get 22% of all sales. So, you know, the 36 artists that are participating in the project got a bit over 1 ETH for Christmas. So, you know, these are artists in emerging nations like Cuba and Venezuela. So 1 ETH makes a difference. So for me, that's like one of the most exciting things about this project, just like highlighting these emerging artists from developing nations. And then the next sale for the project happens this Sunday. We will do an OG, second OG mint this Sunday. And so check the project out. The art is really stunning. The Infinite Machine collection. So we're selling another 3,000 tokens. For first, the people in the whitelist will be able to mint first, and then after they've gotten their chance, and if there are any tokens left, it will be open to the general public. So watch out for an announcement soon on the Defiant with all the details. we'll have the link there and everything. So hopefully, you know, those interested can participate and help fund the movie of the Infinite Machine. Yay! Elaine has Infinite Machine token NFT. Look at that art. It's beautiful.
I had to. It was beautiful. I mean, I just
Yay.
did it like when I had time out of the Christmas holidays, and I was like, "What's going on in this world?" And I was like, "Oh my goodness!" I just had to get one from my girl. So
I love it. I love it.
Awesome.
So
Yeah.
that was a story that's going to take a little while to come to the screen. But talking of things that deserve to be on the screen, I think you can agree that we did. And our little weird space here, this happens in real time. We are just piping just pure goodness to you weekly. This was The Defiant versus Real Vision. And we will back next week at the same time, probably something like that. This is the internet. Who knows? Anything could happen. I will see you on the next one. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.